So we know that Trump is a liar and a traitor. And we've always known this about Russia and Ukraine and all of this stuff that we went through before with people saying Russia, 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 saying that we were all, had this fetish or something. We know that he's been in bed with Russia and with Putin probably since the 80s. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing. Please tell your friends to subscribe so we can keep doing this because I got stuff to say. And some of it might be new information for some of you. And this is a good way for us to kind of take one issue each day and at least review it. The U.S. in the UN, our representative just voted against a UN resolution condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The United States is now officially now, not even hiding it, in bed with Russia, with Putin. So all of this business before where they were calling it a Russia hoax, clearly it wasn't. Some of us have known this forever. But now it's making it harder for MAGA to deny it, but they don't seem to care. So the reason this matters is that we're looking at the third anniversary of the war in Ukraine, but the U.S. was just one of 18 countries to vote against the resolution, pitting the Trump administration against 93 other member states, including much of the European Union, to side with Vladimir Putin, a monster, a murderous dictator who invaded and attacked Ukraine, and Trump supports it. And he has some MAGA supporting it who don't understand this stuff. They'll just follow him no matter what. But it's those in Congress, Republicans in Congress, that really need to, look forward to their place in hell for supporting this. They know better. They know better. Let's see, this is the first time since the Russian invasion began that the U.S. voted against a resolution that was backed by Ukraine. So this is just handing Ukraine's head to Putin on a silver platter. This is what's happening. And this takes me back to 2016. It's always been about Ukraine. That was the whole purpose of this. Now, Diane Denman was a delegate to the convention, to the RNC convention. She was from Texas. And she had an amendment in the platform committee. They have different platform meetings, committees for different issues. One might be for foreign affairs, another for different budgets. So they do this. And the Trump campaign did not get involved in any of the many, many, many platform committee issues. No issue on the entire RNC platform concerned them except for language on Ukraine. So Diane Denman put forth the amendment, which was standard for Republicans, that would basically say that we would be able to give that supported weakening, that supported weapons to Ukraine so they could defend themselves, because by this time, Putin had already attacked them once, okay? Including hacking the military's computers, the army's computers. So this was pretty standard, except J.D. Gordon, one of Trump's thugs, one of the little liars, one of the little traitors, he steps forward and says no, that in fact, Trump himself wanted a weakening of the U.S. position in the platform committee, the language in the Republican platform committee. He did not want it to. It could have general support, but not weapons. It was definitely a pro-Putin, pro-Russia stance. And the platform committee members, including Ms. Denman, were shocked. And so they argued some, and very clearly, and she said this to the Senate committee when she was hauled in for testimony. She said it to press that J.D. Gordon was on the phone and said, "I'm on the phone with New York," meaning the Trump campaign headquarters. And they were literally bulldozing their way in and saying, this is what the nominee, Donald Trump, wants. And this is how it has to be. So this was the first hint that Trump wasn't just, kind of pro-Putin. He was going to bat for Putin. This was obviously in exchange for Putin helping him in the campaign, which is basically what Special Counsel Mueller was telling us. And we've all known it. JD Gordon later lied about it, and I wrote about it in USA Today. And he picked up the phone and called his right wing editor friend there that he used to work with and tried to get me fired. Didn't work that time because he was lying about me, and also kind of revealed in the conversation, but he didn't know it. He was using information from my hacked emails that he had gotten. So that became part of an FBI investigation, part of the larger investigation into the hacking of my emails. So JD was given information um, that someone had given him that he thought would, be used against me. It wasn't. He was saying that I was compromised, that I worked for Ukraine, that Ukraine owned my little PR firm, which was false. But a few years before that, I was one of my clients, a software company, couldn't pay me, so they gave me like 4.4% of their worthless software company. And then, as it turns out, somebody was interested in pulling us in for a proposal as a subcontractor for a defense contract. I wasn't even allowed to know what it was because there were NDAs all around. They eventually rolled me in for other things, so I knew that it was for Ukraine. It was a U.S. contract where we were helping Ukraine guard against, take their computers and the phones of their military and make it stronger identification verification to make it harder for Putin to hack them again. Well, so we were in this, and the only way you would know this is if you had access to my hacked emails. Because we didn't get the contract, it kind of faded away like these things do. There's nothing untoward about it. It was all on the up and up, but it went away. And again, it wasn't public because we had NDAs all around for this contract proposal. Um, so that was what the FBI was very interested in. How would JD Gordon have any information along these lines that he's feeding to his right wing editor friend at USA Today, who then, of course, is accusing me? I'm like, what? But then I remembered. And so that was our third data point that Team Trump had hacked my emails and they were using information from my hacked emails. The investigation, after a while, went away once because then JD Gordon caught on. I think he was questioned by the FBI and they pretended they were asking him about me and my business with Ukraine. And then because I started challenging him on Twitter, he figured out that, oh no, he was being questioned for how did he get this information? Because whoever gave it to him clearly had my hacked emails. And we know we have a good idea who it was. But again, they were able to make that go away because JD Gordon worked for Jeff Sessions when they were both on the campaign, and then Jeff Sessions became Trump's AG, and he could just have that FBI investigation shut down. We actually thought there were indictments. So it's always been about Ukraine. Going back to the summer of 2016 at the Republican National Convention, the only platform item that Trump or the Trump campaign cared about that they interfered with was on Ukraine, making sure that we were not putting in the Republican Platform Committee anything that supported providing them weapons so that they could fight Putin. And JD Gordon, according to others in the room and this Diane Denman, was on the phone and said, I'm on the phone with New York. This is what they want. And he said that this is what Trump wanted, that he was directed by Trump. He later backed down on that, claims he never said it, which, when he got nailed, clearly he's lying. But this should clarify to anyone, if you've ever had any doubts, how and why Trump became president the first time, and how and why he became president this time. And he would have been president in 2020 with Putin cheating for him. But the pandemic hit and people were voting by mail with paper ballots, which is why Louis DeJoy had mailboxes ripped out of the ground in heavily Democratic neighborhoods and Black neighborhoods that would vote against Trump. He did that so that people couldn't get their mail-in votes in during the pandemic. And they destroyed $2 million per piece per machine, mail sorting machines right before the election to try and achieve the same purpose. So before they were able to do it, I guess, another way, I think obviously Elon has some Starlink funny business this time, but it has always been about Ukraine. This is why Putin needed Trump in the White House. So in 2016, again, that's all they cared about. Everything they did was about that one thing, Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. And Robert Mueller and the Mueller report, we know this as well. Yes, Putin was very involved in the election. And we know what happened in 2020 and in 2024. So here we are. Here we are, a little over a month into Trump's second presidency, where he mostly golfs. And we have the United States, as part of the UN, shaming itself to the world by throwing in our lot 100% with a murderous dictator, an enemy of freedom and democracy, and the enemy of the United States, Vladimir Putin, on the issue of Ukraine. It's pretty black and white. And I know there's a lot of information out there and a lot of chaos, and people forget. But if you are still talking to MAGA friends and they're still like, oh, that Russia hoax, that's been debunked. First of all, no, it was never debunked. Mueller simply wasn't allowed to go there for real. This is proof. This vote in the UN by the United States to support Vladimir Putin and his military invasion and attack on Ukraine. Shame on Republicans in Congress for supporting this. Shame on you. You know better. You know that's not what Republicans used to stand for. That certainly isn't what Ronald Reagan would stand for. He's rolling over in his grave. It certainly isn't what Democrats stand for. Anybody supporting this is a traitor, and you should be ashamed of yourself. But for the purpose of this video and people in their regular life, when you have these conversations about what's going on, you can now get in your MAGA friends and family's faces, or former friends' faces, and you can tell them about this shameful, horrible, disgusting, traitorous vote by the United States in the United Nations and what we just did. Proof that all of that BS before, oh, Russia's a hoax, blah, blah, blah. It's not. You don't even need to connect the dots anymore. So I just gave you the context of the RNC convention in 2016 when Trump became the nominee, wasn't president yet. And JD Gordon in that platform committee meeting, bullying and browbeating and threatening the others to make sure that Putin got his way. And then, of course, after that, he backed down and lied about it. But we know now. We know now. So don't let yourself be beaten down by the MAGA in your life who don't know these things and who lie. And they do lie. But all the dots connect. Every single move that Trump has made and his goons have made have been to help Putin take Ukraine.